What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York at the PlayStation Theater, and today we got Steve Tucker of Morbid Angel. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. So the first thing is always first, you're well into the record cycle for Kingdom's Disdain, your latest record. Do you have, being that it's been 2 years, do you have a conclusion on this record cycle?
It's been a success, man. I mean, it's been great. I mean, got reacquainted with a lot of old fans and see a lot of young kids at the shows as well. So yeah, man, it's been great. It's this album has been I don't know, man. It's weird. I'm happy with everything. You know, it's really weird. I'm happy with the label. They've done everything they should have done. I'm happy with the artwork. I'm happy with the quality of the paper on the CDs and all of these, dude. Everything about the record, I'm completely happy with, man. It's been great.
Yeah.
You know.
Being that Morbid Angel is, and not to pigeonhole you guys by any means, but is death metal, does the making of each record, do you tend to stick with a formula with making music, or does Morbid Angel like to experiment?
I mean, I think Morbid Angel has always been death metal. I think that, you know, that my idea of what Morbid Angel is definitely death metal. I don't really think that's a pigeonhole when you're one of the people that sort of invented it.
Yeah.
You know, but what was the second part of your question?
Does Morbid Angel like to experiment with making new music?
Oh, dude, I think that's what's made Morbid Angel successful, is the fact that Morbid Angel was always a band that was sort of, you know, not reactionary to what was going on around them. They were just kind of experimenting and doing their own thing, and I think that's still something that we do. Absolutely. I mean, the crazy shit that we're doing with polyrhythms and stuff alone, man, that's who else does that shit? You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's just it's another level of thinking and writing, and you know what I mean. Sometimes it's absolute madness. You know.
Absolutely. Now, what I find really interesting about Morbid Angel is, you know, there's some bands that are more riff-driven, there's some bands that are more rhythm-driven, or some melodic-driven. I feel like every aspect that I just mentioned counts in Morbid Angel. Is there ever something that comes first in the songwriting process?
It's got to, I mean, from my perspective, I've always felt and I mean, Trey said this to me years ago, it's gotta sound like Morbid Angel. It's gotta feel like Morbid Angel, you know, and I mean, by that, I guess it really means it's gotta move Trey. You know what I mean? For me, Trey was always he's Morbid Angel, dude. You know, I mean, it was his idea long before anybody else was involved in the fucking band. You know what I mean? Trey's Morbid Angel, you know? So, you know, for him, I think that, you know, this has always been about letting something out, you know what I mean? And I think that it's separated Morbid Angel from a lot of other bands, just because Trey's not a normal motherfucker, bro. He's weird. You know,
you gotta be crazy to make the music you do.
Dude. You just meet the guy, you might understand, you know, how some of this comes from left field, you know what I mean? But, I mean, he's an original mind, dude. And I know a lot of people, but I don't know a lot of people that are original minds, you know?
Exactly. Now, despite, you know, being a death metal band, I think Morbid Angel has toured with, a variety of different bands. You know, touring with Cannibal Corpse, I mean, everybody's going to be enjoying that. But, you know, I remember back in the day, you did a tour with, Pantera, Slayer, and Static X, I think, was on the bill, too, a while ago.
Yeah, I think that was the second part of the Reinventing the Steel tour or whatever. And the first part was with Pantera, Soulfly, Morbid Angel, and Nothing Face.
Really?
Yeah, man.
And who would have thought that they'd be playing in a band with Vinny?
Dude, you know, I think that, you know, it's just about, it's not really about even who we're playing with sometimes. You know, sometimes we go out and you have a package like what we're doing now, you know, us and Cannibal Corpse. This is something that I've wanted to happen for a long, long time. You know, I mean, these are my friends, man. Who doesn't want to kind of tour with their friends? I mean, you tour with a lot of bands. Your friends are in a band. Why wouldn't you tour with them, dude? You know what I mean? So it took a long time to make this shit happen. It took Decibel Magazine, you know, to make this happen. And it's for me, this is the way I wish it always was. I have to be honest, man. Sometimes I think it's an okay idea to expose people to, you know, something different. You know what I mean? But I don't really enjoy it all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's stuff that I just am not relating to or something. You know what I mean? I would, you know, everybody on this tour, dude, I can relate to them sonically, man. You know what I mean? You know, everyone reverberates on the same sort of wavelength on this tour, you know? And I mean, these guys, you know, Necrot and Blood Incantation, man, I mean, they're considered younger bands, you know, but like, dude, these guys are the future, man.
There's Morbid Angel DNA in their style of music, for sure.
I bet there's Cannibal Corpse DNA in there, and I bet there's Deicide DNA in there, and I bet there's Death DNA in there.
Yeah,
you know
of
what I
course.
mean? But they maintain a certain, how can I say this, evilness, you know, that, man, it makes it legit to me, you know.
Yeah, of course. Now, a lot of people, obviously, you know, being a Tampa, Florida death metal band, you know, I've always called Florida the warm Sweden with all the death metal that's come out there. I mean, with you guys, Deicide, Obituary, Death, Monstrosity. I mean, it goes on forever. I mean, was it at that time easier to start like a band in Tampa, Florida of that style just because of how much was coming out? Or
Man, I think, you know, about a late 80s, 89, and, you know, maybe the early 90s, a lot of people flocked there that were sort of the same mind. You know, people like Corpse Grinder, dude. You know, like George Corpse Grinder. You know, I mean, he went down to jamming Monstrosity. You know, he's been in Florida ever since, basically. You know, so I think that, man, like San Francisco before it for thrash metal, it was just a place where a lot of people popped up. I mean, legitimately, I'll tell you what happened. I mean, it's the same that happened in San Francisco. One badass band came from there, Death,
yep.
and it spawned and influenced just hundreds and hundreds of demo listening to guys. You know what I mean? Like musicians, dudes who, you know, they loved it. They loved his ideas and stuff like that. You know, and I think and Trey as well. You know, I think that those two guys, man, and they're both Chuck's not around, but, you know, Trey's a bit older, you know, a little bit older and shit. Those guys, man, they just, they were from there. There was a vibe there, and I think it came out in their music, man. And it was something that caused an entire scene to develop pretty much worldwide, I think, you know. I think that dudes in Sweden, you know, I think they were, it was the same. They were influenced by those demos. Back then, man, tape trading was a big deal.
I think them not having much sun, though, also maybe contribute to it as well. But
well, you know, that doesn't really, I mean, Florida has as much sun as you could fucking ever want. You know what I mean? So I think it's just
you do get the most brutal storms, though, in the summer.
It's just a reverberation, bro. I really think it's just about vibes in the air. And I think at that time, dude, all those bands that spawned the death metal in Sweden and in Denmark and all of these Scandinavia as a whole, and, you know, the Florida scene, I just think it was a natural progression, man. You know, you take your Metallicas and your Slayers and all that, and you combine them. What do you really get? You kind of get death metal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm gonna get shat on so hard by my viewers. It already happened once, but I think Florida still is a great spot for metal. I mean, obviously apples and oranges, you know, but Under Oath is from there, Trivium is from there, Camelot's from there. So not even is it a death metal capital, but it just seems to be a capital for heavy music.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess, you know, there's a lot of people that go to Florida for the environment. You know, it's warm, and, you know, maybe a lot of people that have artistic children or tend to want to live in that better area or whatever. But, and I agree with you. There's a lot of all kinds of music that comes out of Florida that's incredible. I mean, it's way off this, but Tom Petty's from Florida, bro.
No. Okay, let's just get one thing straight. Tom Petty's a freaking genius. I mean, like, his songwriting ability. So
I mean, listen, for anyone that would be listening to this, he's been there in the background their entire life.
Yep.
Say that they don't really know a world without Tom Petty. You know what I mean? Like, it's like all the metalheads, we never knew a world without fucking, you know, without Lemmy, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you know, it is what it is.
Exactly.
Florida, but the point is, great shit comes out of Florida, bro.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much. Everybody,
Cheers,
Steve Tucker of Morbid Angel. Be sure to pick up Kingdoms Disdained if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.